Now you're at Howard. You're surrounded by compatible people. You're making friends.
Yeah.
What about teachers?
Oh, I had great teachers.
Sterling Brown.
Sterling Brown. See, that was the thing then at Howard that I hadn't realized, because I was trying to get out of the mostly white context, because it was on my, it was working on my mind, that being the minority. But then I'd walk into classes, man, and they were, Sterling Brown. I didn't know Sterling Brown, but then later I would find out this great black poet was my English teacher. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
And I would be sitting up there, and then he would be talking. It's very interesting that I went there. Toni Morrison went there. All of the black students that were there who sat up under Brown, who actually was telling you some things that you even learn today. I mean, the whole thing about black music being, the foundation of your history in America, in any kind of continuous, example of black history, that where the music goes, that's where the people go. The music reflects the people. When he first sat A.B. Spellman and myself down in his house, invited us to his house, and said, "That's your history, boys." That was like a wave of something. I mean, that was a shock, because it didn't mean what it came to mean. Somebody shows you these records they got, they got Bessie Smith, and they got Duke Ellington, and they got Fletcher Henderson, and they got Ethel Waters, and they got Billie Holiday, and they say, "That's your history there." And you say, well, that's the kind of remark that a professor would make,
yeah.
you see.
So you didn't say, okay, yes, you're right?
No. But then he would teach us about the music. See, Sterling then sat us down in the dormitory, because what he could dig is that we wanted to know about the music, because remember at the time, jazz was banned on Howard University's campus. I mean, that's how sick these Negroes was, that they had actually become so alienated from themselves in this quest for the great American dream, in which they would be ghosts, that the music was banned. Like A.B. Spellman, who was one of my best friends in college, without a doubt. He would come to the door of the room. My room was like, we had a sign on it, 13 Rue Madeleine. That was Gestapo headquarters. So he'd come to the door, and he would go, he started singing. He started singing like either Ode to Joy, Beethoven's Night. Right? He was in the opera. The Howard singers sang European concert music. You understand what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So when Sterling then, apparently how he perceived that we didn't think that was cool, you understand? He said, you all think you know something about the music. Hey, we know Charlie Parker, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So you come to my house. And then he started classes in the dormitory. And we would sit in the dormitory. It's a brand new Clark Hall. And he would talk about the music. See, that was completely out, because that wasn't sanctioned by the university.
Now,
quite contrary.
But at the same time, the music he's talking about, I can remember being distant from. That is, I embraced Charlie Parker, but Louis Armstrong, it took me a while to
understand that.
Embrace Louis Armstrong and Bessie Smith. My parents had Bessie Smith records, and they didn't appeal to me initially.
Right.
Now, what was your reaction?
Because what Sterling was saying was deeper than that. He was telling us about the blues. He was telling us about Bessie Smith and Ma Rainey, But what Sterling was trying to make us understand is the historical continuum that I provided. You understand? And to say that what you don't know is where this came from. See, you like Bird and them, but it took me a while to know who, to really know who Duke Ellington was, and to really know who Louis Armstrong was. I mean, I was an adult before I could dig Louis. And before I really, before it really manifested who that was, the greatest trumpet player ever, anywhere, I was like in my 40s or something like that.
Yes, I was turned off by what I took to be the clownish, aspects of his persona.
Absolutely.
And I couldn't do it.
Of course. Yeah. No, because you would, all of those teeth and whatnot, you see, but then later on, and then remember when Louis came out with the thing during the Arkansas.
The Little Rock Crisis.
The Little Rock Crisis, you see. And that then, and I tell you, I tell you what really blew my mind about Louis Armstrong. He was on, this was much later, he was on television interview with his manager, Joe Glazer.
Mm-hmm.
And so the commentator asked him, well, Mr. Armstrong, can you tell us in your 60 years of being in the music business, what have you learned? I mean, how do you, what would you tell young people? He said, well, I tell you, one thing I learned is if you're black and you're in the music business, you gotta find yourself some white man and make yourself that white man's nigga. Ain't that right, Joe?
Really? Oh my Lord! What a remarkable thing!
It make you want to look away from the television. I said, because he's obviously been waiting 50 years
to say that. What did Glazer say?
Joe Glazer didn't say nothing. He didn't say anything. He looked like somebody had peed on his shoe. Actually, he didn't say anything. It was just like cut to the commercial.